This is What It Takes, a show that peers into the minds of groundbreaking innovators. Want to know how they turn big ideas into realities? Keep watching and listening. And as you do, share your questions with hashtag WhatItTakesNU. Lamar Letts landed his not your usual sports drink on Walmart.com. And take note, he's the youngest CEO and founder ever to do it. The idea for Hilux came to Lamar in his first year at Northeastern, but a lot's changed since then. Listen on to hear Lamar's tips for a solid pitch, his take on business intangibles, and the first moment he saw someone sip his nutritious concoction in real life. Thanks for being here, Lamar.
Absolutely.
Let's kick things off with what is, I'm sure, a classic for you, the elevator pitch. We're going to keep you on your toes and give you 30 seconds to tell us all about Hilux.
All right, so Hilux is a health water that addresses the most common nutritional deficiencies. These nutritional deficiencies hinder things like muscle recovery, immune function, and they take away from the overall quality of life.
This is Light Bulb Moment, which is our introduction to kind of that spark for you that inspired this product. So what would you say is your light bulb moment for Hilux?
Absolutely. So I guess it was a series of events that kind of led to the light bulb. So I was a track athlete and I actually got a heart injury, which put me out of competition and pretty much all physical activity. Thankfully, I made a full recovery. I was able to, get back into fitness, but that was only after a year of bed rest. And during that year, I really thought about how can I come back and really, make sure that I'm on the right track. And what I found that translated into was the nutrition aspect. Previously, I wasn't that much into nutrition. Didn't really care. I was running and just eating whatever. And I found that when I was really being conscious about it, everyone I speak to is doing everything besides just drinking regular sports drink. They're watering it down. They're doing all sorts of substitutes. So why not create something that is low in sugar, low in calories, and really delivers on the nutrient aspect of things? And through research, we were able to find out the most common nutritional deficiencies and really address that in a drink that tasted great and made people feel great.
And when did you turn that idea into a real thing that you could hold in your hand like you just did? When did that happen? And what resources did you need from the ground level up to do it?
So it was sort of like an iterative process. I really wanted to get started, and it took a lot longer than I actually initially expected. Just going from step one was creating the name and the design and what's it going to look like and what's going to be in it. So that was freshman, sophomore, junior year. In 2016, we ran a Kickstarter, and then 2017, after I graduated, is when I started doing it full time. But before that, there were definitely many steps, a lot of learnings along the way.
I feel like a category that would make sense for you, Lamar, is sell to the shelf, whether it's physical or virtual. How do you land deals with big companies? Like from the very first contact to having a product on Walmart.com, what's the journey like? How do you get there?
So definitely starting with identifying the different, eventual people that you will want to contact, whether it's the company or the region, just dialing down into where exactly you want to go. And then from there, having a pitch that not only sells them on the product, but sells them on the team behind the product, as well as all the peripheral factors. I would say that would be press, general marketing. There's a lot of intangibles in there too, because food, especially beverage, has a lot of competitors, and some people just kind of come in, throw something in, and they're kind of gone the next year. And a lot of beverage dealers or distributors, they're very wary of that. So they want to see some of those intangibles of, are you going to be here for the long haul? Things don't just blow up overnight. So are you going to really be putting in the footwork, the people, are you going to be reachable on the phone, and just things like that? You really want to sell them on the entire package of what you're bringing out.
I don't know if you can remember the exact moment, but how did it feel the first time that you saw Hilux, either, up on a shelf or just from typing it in on a big website? What does that feel like?
So I'll dial it back even more. There was a time, one of the earliest, when we were kind of testing out some of our first formulas. One of our first test markets was in Cambridge, and I remember the first time I saw a guy drinking it that I didn't know.
Yeah.
That was a first.
Felt real?
Yeah. I remember I called my mom right away. I was like, I can't believe it.
My first customer.
People are actually doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know him.
Yeah. And what did he think?
He liked it. I spoke to the, I didn't bother him, I wasn't trying to be creepy, but spoke to the manager, and they were like, yeah, he's like buying it and like bringing it home. And I'm like, wow.
Good. So what is in a name? How did you come up with this concept and its overall look?
Yeah, absolutely. So Hilux stands for hydration and luxury, but it actually wasn't our first name. We had a original name that I can't say on camera. It was during that iteration phase, but a large international company actually found us online somehow because I was kind of making a website, and they sent a cease and desist because it sounded similar to their name, but completely different spelling, completely different look. It's kind of a stretch, but they had a giant law firm, and I did not. I was in a dorm room, West F actually, so I was wondering how they found me, but yeah, we moved on from that. That was something where we didn't have too much invested in that at all. It was just something we came up with. And moving forward, we wanted to take a name, Hilux, hydration and luxury, put them together. And what we found is that people really latch onto that one a lot more than the original one. So it's kind of like a story that we didn't think it was going to go from point A to point B, but it was, it was something that we kind of took, we bobbed and weaved.
A blessing,
we took it as it came.
So you mentioned what I'd consider a bump in the road with the name, right?
Yeah,
so I'm sure you encounter quite a few, I'm sure, as you get something off the ground. What bump in the road stands out to you that you're very proud of overcoming, and how did you do it? What should fellow innovators know for getting to the next step?
Yeah, I'd say a really recent one was a supply chain problem that we just overcame, especially because of the lockdowns and a lot of just the global issues that we experienced over the past year. It was kind of coming from every angle, the different problems, but one huge one, it was kind of like a culmination, like the breadcrumbs led up to something big. Of a manufacturer that just wasn't going to be able to work with us anymore. So us being able to really change around some of the components of the product, that wouldn't affect quality, that wouldn't affect taste, and kind of come out on the other end stronger. We're actually upgrading the label in our next production run, and that's just really kind of a proud moment for us internally, because it's kind of like a battle that you don't see behind the scenes, and then September, October comes and you see a new label and you're like, oh wow, it looks cool, but a lot went into actually getting that out, and it started from a pretty low point, just because that was a huge player for us when it came to actually producing the product.
What does it take to become the youngest CEO and founder on Walmart.com? You have to feel so proud of that.
Yeah, it's definitely it was like surreal. It's something,
I'm sure it still hasn't sunk in.
Yeah, you're kind of like keep going and going and going, and then you take a step back and you're like, wow. But I'd say the answer to what it takes is, my honest answer is just a relentless pursuit of even the smallest steps forward. Sometimes you'll have big steps forward, sometimes you'll have small steps forward, sometimes you'll have steps backwards, but just a relentless pursuit of moving the ball forward. Because when I first started, when I was tinkering around with the idea, I had no idea that wasn't on the goal. The goal was more so, let's sell it to some people in Boston or online. But to really, as I moved forward and I was able to dial things in, dial in the name, dial in the packaging, dial in even the marketing plan, the team, what was foggy started to become a lot more clear, and we were able to continue that mantra of always making steps forward, but being a lot more targeted with it.
The beverage market may be uber competitive, but Lamar says Hilux is here to stay. How they'll stick around? Small steps forward. Thanks for tuning in. Share your questions and ideas for future guests with hashtag WhatItTakesNU on all platforms. This is What It Takes.